Hi, my name is Amber Cook. I am a student at the University of Washington, and I am currently in a class studying globalization. For my final project, I wanted to talk a little bit about the diffusion of culture through food. So there are kind of two sides to this. On one side, I want to look at how cuisine and food changes via immigrants when they move to a new country. But then also I want to talk about a little bit about how the culture they move into can actually be influenced by the immigrants themselves. I'm going to do this through the medium of Italian food. I picked Italian because I really want to learn how to make pasta. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. I make Italian food a lot, and I just thought it would be a useful skill. So not only am I learning about globalization, but I'm learning a new skill, which is something that's very important to me. I am gonna do this through using two different recipes on two different nights. So tonight I'm going to cook a a classic kind of American Bolognese. So a spaghetti with meat tomato sauce. And then tomorrow night, I am going to cook a more traditional Italian meal, which I got from a cookbook that is known as the Art of Cooking for Italian Food. So it's called Talisman, the Talisman Italian Cookbook. It was written by an Italian immigrant who came to the US, but she ran cooking schools in both New York and in Italy. I will insert her name later. And in that meal, I will be cooking a fresh pasta with butter and Parmesan, and then also stuffed zucchini. So two separate dishes, but together in the same meal, which seems like more authentic Italian way. After reading through this cookbook pretty extensively, most of the pasta meals don't have meat included in them, but there's like a whole separate section on meat. So that's the plan, and I will be talking a little bit more about the globalization of those things later. However, right now, in order to be able to cook this food, I'm gonna be real honest. Pandemic's hitting me hard, and I'm having a hard time keeping my house clean. So right now, we have to clean this disaster of a kitchen. Let's get to it. And just like that, through the magic of editing, the kitchen is now clean. Food should be here momentarily, and we can start cooking our first meal. And then we will talk more about how Italian cuisine and globalization are related. Okay, we have all of our ingredients now, and we are going to start cooking what is titled the perfect spaghetti bolognese American style. Bolognese, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. I should probably find out. But it was posted by Sandy Weisman in November of 2014. She said it took her a few years to develop this recipe through trial and error, and the recipe for it will be in the description box below. Her standard recipe is a serving size of 4. I only feed 2 people, and right now I'm only feeding 1 person, but I'm still gonna make I'm gonna make a 2-person portion. And what's really nice about the website where this is posted, which I will also put a link to down below in the description box, is you can actually change the serving size and it'll adjust the recipe. So that's really awesome. So let's get to it. American style Italian food. I'm done. You can see she's steaming hot. Let's give it a try, and then I will tell you about my experience. Okay, as I suspected, it's good. Is it amazing? No. Is it the best Bolognese I've ever had? Absolutely not. Couple things. So first of all, this recipe called for red wine. I don't drink alcohol, so I don't ever have it in my house. So I had to do the alternative, which it suggested, as balsamic vinegar. I can super taste the balsamic vinegar in here. Also, at the end of the recipe for the sauce, it suggests to add sugar to counteract the tartness, I'm assuming, of the balsamic vinegar. I can tell there's sugar in it too, and I found it really weird that sugar was being added to a sauce, but I understand. Also, it is an American recipe, so that seems kind of fitting. The last thing, and I can definitely tell this in comparison to other sauces and pasta I've had elsewhere that I've made, there are 3 spices in this: oregano, salt, and pepper. That's it. And you can definitely tell, but it's good. I'll eat it. Will I make it again? Probably not. Like I said before, description box will be down below, and next we will talk about the globalization of food. Now let's talk about the globalization of food, specifically Italian food in American culture. Cultural diffusion is the process of a culture spreading or moving and how it changes, or how it can change. When I think of cultural diffusion coming into the US market, I assume that the culture of the US is so overwhelming that it'll change the one being that coming in, immigrating to it. Kind of like assimilation. However, when it comes to Italian food, a strong argument can be made that Italian culture actually influenced the food culture in the US. In her paper titled Italian Cookbook Writers and the Transnational Formation of Taste in Post-Industrial America, 1973 to 2000, Simone Sinotto, who seems to be the leading scholar on Italian-American food culture, as most of the papers I found were written by her, argues that middle-class Italians who immigrated to New York City after World War II and started publishing cookbooks in the 1970s established themselves as specialists in symbolic production and dissemination within the middle class. By providing U.S. readers with representations of Italian tastes, identities, and ideas about domestic and social life, immigrant Italian cookbook writers narrated a consuming object, but in fact, as producers of a specialized form of knowledge, they created the consumer subject. They helped to forge the U.S. consumer culture of their time rather than be assimilated into it or marginalized from it. Cookbooks and learning new cuisine became the culinary equivalent to National Geographic. It provided readers with representations of other cultures, histories, geographies, technologies, even sensibilities. Now, granted, Italian cuisine was influenced by American culture in some ways, specifically in the way we make Italian food at home by, buying store-bought dried pasta, canned sauce, pre-made meatballs, that sort of thing. However, a movement called slow food is trying to change that by putting more emphasis on knowing the origins of your food, eating seasonally and locally, and by creating a more discriminating consumer culture to focus locally and environmentally for the benefit of the world. The fact of the matter is, Italian food is fully immersed in U.S. culture. It is part of U.S. culture, and it all came from Italian immigrants. There are, no matter what city or town you go to, you can go to an Italian restaurant. Now, its authenticity to what you would have in Italy, questionable. However, what we do have was brought here by Italian Americans, by people who immigrated here from Italy and began making, teaching, and selling Italian food. So now we are going to look at a traditional Italian dish from Ada Boni's The Talisman Italian Cookbook, which has been marketed as the Italian joy of cooking. It's a big deal, and it was throughout the 20th century. Apparently, brides were given it as a gift pretty consistently. So we're gonna make some fresh pasta and in a butter Parmesan sauce, and then some stuffed zucchini, and we'll see how that goes. I've never made fresh pasta before, so let's see. Okay, I have cleaned and sanitized my work surface. I have my ingredients and my recipe over there. And now, it's time to make some pasta. See how we do. After 10 minutes of kneading, this is what we have. I have my little dough ball friend here, and this is what we want to see. So when I put my finger into it, it bounces back. And that is the elasticity we want. So now I'm gonna wrap it up and let it chill for half an hour. I made fresh pasta. It's all done. It's beautiful. I'm gonna make the rest of the meal now and talk to you about it and show you it when it's done. See you soon. Okay, so we have everything now. Our fresh homemade pasta in a brown butter and Parmesan sauce. It is so good and has such good flavor and texture. It's so good, and it wasn't even hard, honestly. All right, let's try this zucchini. Holy cow. I'm going to devour this right this instant, and I will come back to talk to you after I'm done eating it because it's that good. I want to eat it right now. Wow. That was really good. And honestly, it was pretty easy. I mean, making the pasta took about half an hour or so, but the process wasn't that laborious. And actually cooking the meal didn't take me any longer than the American meal did. So that says to me a few things. First, obviously we know that our culture is influenced by Italian culture. We know that it's embedded. We see it everywhere with, pizza places on every corner. But authentic Italian food has this connotation with being long and laborious, and that's just not true. I think if I would have made the pasta and then the meal all together, it would have taken me an hour, which I have had lots of meals that have taken me an hour. But what's so interesting about this is that we can see the clear influence that those Italian immigrants had on our food culture. with things like marinara, Alfredo, pasta, pizza, lasagna, garlic in everything, balsamic vinegar. All of these things are ways that cultural diffusion has happened in the United States with Italian immigrants. And I think it's just a really cool thing, and I'm going to continue on this journey of learning how to cook authentic Italian food. I hope you have a good day. Bye.